What's up, everybody? And today we're talking about Thor Ragnarok. Now, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, but I haven't watched it in a while, and I was like, alright, if I go back to it, is it gonna hold up the same way that I have it in my memory? And for the most part, I would say, yeah, it does. But there are some things that I still don't like about the movie, and there's some things, especially now with like Marvel fatigue, and I'm personally not excited for Doomsday, which is a whole other thing in itself. But, I was like, are these older, or one of these older Marvel movies still going to hit for me? And, I was pleasantly surprised. I want to start off with the negatives just to get it out the way, because I truly enjoy this movie so much. But there are still some things and some other things that kind of popped up that I was just like, I don't really like this. Getting right into it, the first thing that didn't hit for me was some of the humor. Korg in specific, I just didn't like him this time around. I think maybe it was like the first time because he's a new character and he's like, he does this little voice. I can't do it. But he had his little jokes, but I just felt like this time around,
piss off, Ghost! He's freaking gone.
He just didn't hit for me, and I was like, this is kind of corny, and he's not as funny. Like, I want him to talk less, actually. And maybe it's just because so much of his dialogue is just being like the humor that you don't really get to know him. Which, granted, he's just a background character, but I was just like, I don't really care for him this time around. And one thing I noticed, because everyone's talking about like the Marvel sense of humor of like, oh, he's behind me, isn't he, type stuff. For me, what I started to notice, and I realized it during when I was watching Fantastic Four First Steps when that movie came out, is that Marvel is like so afraid to let a serious scene just be serious sometime, or I feel like most of the time, that anytime things start to get like way too serious, they're like, throw a joke in there, we gotta change the vibe. And I think that hits like right in the beginning of the movie, right? So you get that joke where Thor's in the cage and he's talking to, you think, somebody else, and it's just a skeleton. And it's like, that's funny. But then when he's hanging and he's talking to Surtur, who's supposed to be the person that is destined to destroy Asgard and, his home and all he's ever really known, you get that joke where he's like, oh, hold on, let me spin back around.
The great prophecy.
Hang on. I'll be back around shortly. Do I really feel like we were connecting there? Yeah.
Okay, so Ragnarok. Tell me about that. Walk me through it.
And it's kind of funny, but it is like, this should be a serious moment, and I kind of wish we weren't joking this time around. Like, the first time I thought it was funny, but now I'm watching it, I'm like, I kind of wish there were moments where it's just like, hey, let's take this part a little more serious than we're actually, taking it. And again, I think that's just one of the problems that Marvel has and will probably have going forward, of just like sometimes, hey, let's just let the serious scene be serious, and we can change it by having like something else happen, but it doesn't have to be a joke to get away from that moment. So there were some of those things, like humor wise, that just like didn't hit for me. But again, it's not all the humor. There are some jokes I love, but we'll get into that later. My biggest sin of this whole movie is Hela. You get this child who followed in her father's ways. She had too much ambition. She gets trapped away in this own little realm for thousands of years, to the point where she comes back and no one knows that she's ever existed.
Whoever you were, whatever you've done, surrender now, or we will show you no mercy.
Whoever I am, did you listen to a word I said?
This is your last warning.
I thought you'd be happy to see me.
And her dad has literally covered up the blood-soaked past that he had to even get the empire that he did. And every time you have this moment of just like really sitting with the fact of like her coming to terms with like, you guys really don't know who I am, joke. And it's like, okay, like, cool. So we're not really going to delve into the fact that this is like an abused, abandoned child. And maybe she is crazy, but like, is that truly her fault when it seemed like, at least based on the story that she's telling, Odin was about that life? Like, he's like, I want to conquer everything, and it's like, I wish half of this movie was, the tale of this tragic child, and then you get the other half, which is the fun, whimsical of the child that was loved, which is Thor. But if they weren't going to do that, I've always said that the best way to fix this was to just have Hela be Odin's first wife. Like, all right, sons, I'm dying. You're going to have to deal with her. I'm so sorry. And then they're like, Dad, what are you talking about? And he's like, my first wife. And then he fades off into the dust. And then we can get all the same jokes of her being like, you guys don't know who I am, blah, blah, blah. And we don't have to have serious moments because it's not a tragic child. It is just like his crazy first girlfriend, you know, that young love. We got married early, but she was psycho, you know, and we could have just played it up for that, and the whole movie could have been a joke, and I think it would have worked just fine. And I think the lines would have been even better when she says something like, you know, oh, I'm the goddess of death, who are you the god of again? Like that corny or like semi-corny lines works if she is this crazy, you know, ex-girlfriend. Like I always think of like Tammy from Parks and Rec. I don't know if everyone's gonna get that reference, but just like, you know, I think it would have worked if she was just you know, that crazy first wife. And don't make this tragic story of something you're not actually gonna tell. Moving on, but still sticking next to Hela, is Scourge. You're gonna waste Carl Urban. I mean, Marvel does this. They'll pay for a big name actor and then do nothing with that character or make them a villain and then just kill them off. But Scourge for me was just like, he does nothing evil in this movie other than siding with Hela. But like, he doesn't have any evil actions. He just has being on her side and then like not stopping her. So by the time that he sacrifices himself in the end, I'm like, brother, you didn't do anything. Like, he was going to kill that one person, but it stopped beforehand because I guess Marvel didn't want to actually have him be evil. And I was like, so what was the point of him being on her side and being her executioner and like right hand if he was never actually going to be evil in the first place? Like, I do wish that his character, especially like the way they set him up of like, oh yeah, I went to Texas and I got these 2 guns and he's just like messing around with a shake weight and stuff like that. I wish he was like this dumb jock, almost similar to like Adam Warlock, of like this idiot type character. And I wish he did do some bad things like, okay, cool, we need to get information, we gotta find out where the others are. And he did rough up, you know, one of the Asgardians to get the information, just to have that moment of him actually earn his redemption rather than him doing nothing and being like, I have to redeem myself. And it's like, from what? Standing around? Like, you didn't do anything. Yeah, it's just such a waste of an actor. Moving along, more things I didn't like. Obviously, everyone and their mom has brought this up, but you know, Banner finally coming back after 2 years of being trapped as the Hulk, and or who knows, because you know, time works weird on Sakaar. But 2 years of being the Hulk, and he's like, that's never happened before. I'm scared. Like, if I transform one more time, like that could be it. Like, I'm gonna be gone forever.
The whole thing is totally different this time. I mean, in the past, I always felt like Hulk and I each had a hand on the wheel. But this time, it's like he had the keys of the car and I was locked in the trunk.
Well, you're back now. That's all that matters.
No, it's not what matters. What I'm trying to tell you is that if I turn it to the Hulk again, Banner may never come back. And we're stranded on a planet that is designed to stress me out.
Thor doesn't care. The movie doesn't care. You get that joke where he hops off and like smacks the rainbow bridge and, you know, slides a little bit, which I love that joke. I still think it's funny. But, you know, him being transforming for what could be the last time is like devastating, and no one mentions it. And even at the end of the movie, he's still the Hulk, and it's like, is he ever gonna come back? I mean, granted, we know how it goes now, but like at the time, I'm like, and then even then, if you just view this movie like in a pocket, just like as a singular story, it's like, he could be gone forever, and we're just, you know, it is what it is, everybody. You want to see the cool green guy fight people, so who cares? Yeah, so I don't like that. Sticking with Hulk, when he's fighting Thor, listen, I know this is a Thor movie, and I get that he wins, but I really hate the way that Marvel has done Hulk, and especially with like Smart Hulk, so stupid. I really wish in this movie that the Grandmaster didn't interfere, and that they had stuck with Hulk being, you know, the strongest that he, like the whole thing in the comics with Hulk is like the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. So I do wish we had pretty much the same fight with Thor getting his powers back, or like coming into his own powers, hitting Hulk with that big punch and kind of knocking him out. But I do wish that, you know, he would have started like celebrating or something, like, yeah, I won the fight. And then Hulk would have been like, I'm the strongest there is, smashed him down and still did like the jump thing without, you know, Grandmaster interfering. And yeah, I just wish that we would have kept him as the strongest Avenger, especially because, you know, if you know the comics, World War Hulk, like this is the whole like being sent to another planet, like battling in a coliseum, that's his story. So it's another reason of why I'm like, I wanted him to win the fight in the end, especially because we're not going to get solo Hulk movies because Marvel doesn't want to pay for it. I mean, I know it's the whole Universal, like they own the rights, but it's Disney, they got the money, you know what I'm talking about. If it was Spider-Man, they'd find the money, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, the last little thing that bothered me about this movie, and this is a nerdy nitpick, but they had the little chip, right, to put Hulk or put Thor and, well, I guess everyone else in their place, and it shocks people. And I'm like, well, Thor is the god of thunder. I kind of wish it was more of a paralysis thing than like a shocking thing, because to him it should feel like almost getting like poked. You know what I mean? If you can generate electricity like that, you know what I mean? I feel like him being shocked and being like, oh, I can't do anything is like, are we sure? Are you sure we're gonna use electricity for that? I wish it could have had the same joke of it being paralysis every time he like tries to do something. He's just like, oh, you know what I mean? And then he's out. So yeah, those were just some of the small nitpick things that I don't like about this movie. Again, the two biggest things are still Hela and Scourge. I think those are just wasted characters, and we could have done more with them. The other things are all kind of smaller, but I think, except for the Banner thing, I think that is a huge misstep to have him be afraid of transforming for what could possibly be the last time and then just never addressing that. But that being said, this movie is still awesome. So this is where I'm going to get a little technically nerdy. Stick with me, everybody. So the reason I even watched this movie was because our Wi-Fi was down for like a day, and I'm still a little bit old school, so I have some Blu-rays of some movies, and this is one of them. I have the digital version. My Blu-ray broke. But anyways, the point is that when you're streaming a movie from any streaming service, you're getting it from their server, and it's coming to your device, right? Now, no matter how good it looks, it'll never look as good as it could, because essentially you're, you know, the third party, you're like taking the information from them. If you're just watching a Blu-ray, you're getting all the information straight to you. So I was watching this movie being like, this movie looks way better than I remember, because there is no interference. It is straight from the disc, and it's just being like, here it is, man. Here's all of it. And I'm telling you, any movie that you truly love, go get the Blu-ray. It will look way better than you remember. But yeah, so this movie is gorgeous. This movie has so much style to it, you know, the whole thing of it being like that 80s style. But even when I say style, I just mean like when you go to Asgard, there's like a feel to it. When you're on Sakaar, there's a feel to it, like visually when you're looking at it. You know, I think about the part where they're celebrating Hulk, they're like trying to find him, right? And you just look at all the people in the background, and just the way that they're dressed. There's like one girl I noticed who like her hair is like a cage around her face, and I was like, this is like a lived in world that I feel like Marvel's kind of gotten away from, like this style of like having, you know, each kind of movie be its own thing. Granted, I'm not saying I'm painting with a broad brush, but I just feel like, you know, in the last couple phases we've lost something, and this movie has it. And, you know, keeping with that, talking about like Sakaar, the Grandmaster, you know, I love him. He's so great. You know, one of the jokes of, you know, he finds his cousin. He's like, oh, hey, cuz, how's it going? I'm, you know, like, please, like, forgive me. He's like, oh, yeah, pardon you from life. And then, you know, you just get that. He's, like, burning, but alive, but it's, like, fast, but kind of slow at the same time. And Thor's just like, oh, my God. And it's just like, ugh. There's, like, a smell to it. He's like, oh, I stepped in him. There's, like, that great line. That has to be improv where Thor finally finds Loki, and he's like, yeah, I've been here for weeks, dude.
My frost found me out here weeks ago.
Weeks ago?
Yes.
I just got here.
What are you whispering about?
Time works real different around these parts. On any other world, I'd be like millions of years old. But here on Sakaar.
And he just kind of like smiles. It's like Jeff Goldblum, man. I also think about where Valkyrie comes to like collect, and he has this right hand, and he's like, I always say she's the, what's the word with the B? The B word, and she's like trash. He's like, not even start with the B. Like, were you just waiting to say that to her? I say you're the best. You're the best. Like, it was all great. I love the Grandmaster. His little ship. It's my birthday, and the song starts playing. I don't know if I can say it without YouTube, or I can show it without YouTube like claiming it. But you know what I'm talking about. I'll play the scene without the music.
It's my birthday!
Baby girl Valkyrie. Come on. So good. Tessa Thompson, please. Especially with the accent and everything. But her character has always been great just because not only is she like good looking badass, and even like, I love when Banner meets her for the first time and he's just like, who is she? Is she so like beautiful and strong?
What are those things on her eyes? Are those people that she's killed? She's so beautiful and strong.
She's this tragic character as well who are like, all right, cool. They were sent in to put Hela in her place, and they clearly underestimated Hela, and they all got their asses kicked. And then she was saved by one of her friends, coworkers, lovers, maybe. And she's just been sitting with that and just kind of being a drunk and like half living through life. And she's finally getting a chance to like redeem herself through this fight and like, be a hero again. And it's awesome. And again, she's strong and she's good looking. And yeah, just any chance I can to play plenty of clips from this movie about her. The way that they massacred her in 4 or 5. Ugh. But anyways, moving on. Speaking of style, sticking with another cool character. It feels like Heimdall, in the beginning, you're like, oh, they sidelined him. But then you get those cool shots where he's like showing Thor what he's talking to. He's talking to him like miles away. But then you get those cool action scenes of him trying to save people at the same time. And it's like, this is what I mean, is like this movie feels well thought out. The CG looks good. It isn't like some of these newer movies where you watch it and you're like, why does this look good and this looks bad? And then you hear about, oh, the VFX team did a whole like scene which takes forever for them. And then Marvel's like, psych, we're changing the story, scrap it. And then we get like, these things that look bad. And you're like, why does, this old movie look awesome and this one looks bad? And it just feels like this movie was like planned out. This is what we're doing. And it all just came together. Other than that, going back to the humor, some of the humor that I did like, I think about the part of like when they make the reference to Charlie and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's the first one, right? Or
where once you were nothing, now you are something. You are the property of the Grand Master. Congratulations. You will meet the Grand Master in 5 seconds. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. You are now meeting the Grand Master.
Whatever the first one was, but when he's in the chair and they're having that, that reference, or, that's what heroes do when he throws the ball and he thinks it's gonna crash through the window and it smacks him in the face. Which leads to one of the other scenes I like, this isn't funny, but it's just like that tragic scene of he finally sees the message from Nat, Black Widow, and then you get that scene of like them fighting for control, and Hulk's like punching his face, trying to stay angry, and it's just this tragic scene of like two, because a lot of people forget that like Hulk and Banner are two beings sharing one body, so like you just get that war. And it's just like, oh, this would be so good if you guys could do like a solo movie and have like this good vibe to it, but also I don't trust you guys anymore, so don't touch it at the same time. But yeah, I love that scene. I feel like this is, when people like, oh, what would a Hulk movie look like? Like this vibe, that one scene right there is like the vibe of what a Hulk movie needs to be in a way. Just that struggle between the two of them. But I really like this movie is Thor coming into his own. The hammer isn't his powers, right? He's not the god of hammers. He's the god of thunder. Of course, you get that classic scene of him, you know, jumping down with the music blaring and the lightning coming down. Again, I don't know if I could play it with music without, you know, YouTube copywriting me, but I will play the scene visually at least. But even then, like, Thor was also, you know, cool in the beginning of, you know, you get that scene where he, like, throws the hammer and it follows the hammer as it spins around, but he's still in the middle, just, like, throwing punches and stuff. And again, and going back to the style of when he's being chased by that dragon that has, like, organic jet, thrusters coming out of his body. Like, this movie's so cool. And I just feel like, because I'll just keep rambling, is what I liked by the time we got to the end of this movie is that this story feels, and this is what Marvel does best when it is doing its thing, is this feels like a contained story that has ramifications for the wider MCU, not because of even the Thanos thing, just because like Asgard's destroyed. Where are they gonna go now? Like, you know, Odin was like, hey, this place right here, I forget where he is, in New Zealand or something like that. He's like, this could be a good Asgard maybe. And it's like, is he? Like, how does that affect Earth? Blah, blah, blah. Right? But then you get the extra bonus of the end credit scene of, or like the very end of the movie of Thanos showing up. And then it's even deeper of like, oh, this is gonna have even more ramifications. They just lost their home and now they're about to get murked. Like, nothing's good. And it reminds me of why Thunderbolts was such a good movie. I guess I won't get into spoilers of that one, but if you haven't seen it, that is another movie which a lot of people didn't watch until it came to Disney Plus, but it's another one that feels very contained. But when you get to the end, it feels like, oh, this is going to affect the Marvel Universe. And then there's the extra part of it of like, oh, this is also going to move the story forward in a big way. And I feel like some of the best Marvel movies are some of those things that can be like, this is, you just need to watch this, but it could affect other things. So yeah, I still think this movie is awesome. Again, some minor things that I don't like, but yeah, this is still one of my favorite movies of all time. And if someone has never seen a Marvel movie, I would definitely this is one of the movies I'd put on and be like, hey, all you need to know is like these minor things. All right, let's hop in and have some fun. Let me know what you think. If Thor Ragnarok still holds up for you, if it's still one of your favorites, just how you feel about it down in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.